Hold me back.
Now, that's a big boy. He's strong. You know, you box good. You can do this. You got this over him. You're gonna have to tighten up this. You're gonna have to do this. You know, it's a conversation.
With Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him.
Floyd Mayweather's first response after training with Terence Crawford was full of confidence. He offered key tips to help Crawford prepare for a possible fight with Canelo Alvarez. Known as one of the best boxers ever, Mayweather has shown interest in training Crawford, drawing from his 2013 victory over Canelo. Floyd's experience and strategies could be a huge asset for Crawford, especially if he's going to take on the task of fighting Canelo.
I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that...
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
Oh.
Floyd Mayweather, the most effective and highest-earning fighter ever, reflected on his 2013 fight with Canelo Alvarez. He pointed out the weight difference, saying, "I probably came in at 150 or 152. Despite being smaller, Floyd dominated the younger and stronger Canelo with skill, accuracy, and experience. His performance in that fight cemented his reputation as one of the greatest in boxing history."
It wasn't my idea. So at one particular time, you guys can, anybody, you can go online and pull this up. It was an article. So with Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him, you know, that I was afraid. So he said, Floyd don't want to fight me. I'm willing to meet him at 152 pounds or 152 and a half. And me, I called his bluff and said, if you want to do it, let's do it at 152 or 152 and a half. And, but after Canelo made the weight, it wasn't like it was a certain clause to where he couldn't gain weight. So after he weighed 152 or 152 and a half, I think he came in like 168 or close to 170. And actually I came in at probably like, I probably came in at 151 and 152.
Gotcha.
But Roy Jones is one hell of a fighter. You know, I can't get on here and hate on his skills, but knock his skills. He's been through a lot in the sport of boxing, and he's done a lot for the sport of boxing. And I'm absolutely proud of Roy Jones.
Mayweather recently shared his thoughts on a possible fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He urged caution, saying, "Crawford should carefully consider the challenges of moving up in weight to face Canelo." Drawing from his own experience of defeating Alvarez in 2013, Mayweather stressed the need for smart strategies and thorough planning before taking on such a big fight.
Terence Crawford jumping up from 154 to 168 and beating this quote-unquote version of Canelo Alvarez would diminish the accomplishment that Floyd Mayweather accomplished beating his version of Canelo Alvarez. Is it two different versions of Canelo Alvarez? And obviously, Canelo Alvarez is 62 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is obviously bigger. When Floyd fought him, it was at 152 catch weight, but it had no rehydration clause. So you might as well just say it was at 154. Now, two things they have in common is that Floyd Mayweather was 36, 37 years of age. Terence Crawford is 36, 37 years of age, going on 38. So he'll be 38 when he fights Canelo Alvarez. Floyd had already had 2 fights at 154. He had the fight with Miguel Cotto, and he had the fight with Oscar De La Hoya.
Recently, Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather went to gym to watch Shakur Stevenson train, showing their support for the rising star. Their visit shows the strong mentorship and bond within the boxing world. While at a Las Vegas gym, Mayweather joked about Eddie Hearn's past statements, questioning his net worth. Floyd, who has made over $1.2 billion in his career, humorously showed Hearn some of his bank accounts, proving his wealth. This led to a fun and friendly exchange between them. Eddie Hearn was also seen talking with Crawford and Mayweather, and the three of them shared laughs.
Called me early. It's like, yo, when you sparring, I'm gonna come to the gym. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna spar at 4 o'clock. I really didn't think he was gonna pull up, but he pulled up. It means everything. His advice and listening to him in the ring. He calling out little shit. I'm trying to make sure I do what he say. So I appreciate it.
Can you hear him when you were sparring?
Hell yeah, I can hear everything he's saying. He want me to box. He want me to. I can hear him, but sometimes it's like it's hard to listen. Sometimes but I gotta listen a little bit more. A hell of a blessing to have Bud, Floyd, all these guys backing me, and I appreciate them. I'm just trying to keep pushing and keep getting better and better.
Eddie Hearn later talked about his experience meeting Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather during a training camp. He revealed it wasn't a planned visit and explained that he didn't specifically go to the gym to meet.
I was just in the gym. They probably heard I was there, so they wanted to pull up. You know what I'm saying? No,
What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really spoke to Floyd before. I've met him half a dozen times, and we've sort of said hello and all that kind of stuff. But actually, he's a funny fucker. He is. And I'm single-handedly making Terence Crawford the most popular fighter in the world because I am the only one that's ever brought out his personality. True or false? Like, and Terence is one of the top guys in the sport.
But even if he wasn't, you'd still say that because your business mind now is working and you're going, oh,
I wouldn't say top. I might say top, but he's unbelievably humble. Let me give you an example. Terence Crawford is with Steve Nelson's team, okay? They are staying at a hotel, part of the Cosmopolitan Group, across the street, all right? Nice hotel.
Oh, my hotel, actually.
Yeah, okay. Nice, right, but, you know, there are many more fancy hotels in Las Vegas, okay? He has a standard room there. And we said to him, listen, do you want us to get you he could go into any hotel in Vegas and get a palatial suite. And he said, no, I want to stay with Steve for the week in a standard room. Now, to some people, they might go, oh, big deal. You know what people are like. I don't know many people that would actually do that. Floyd definitely wouldn't do that. But Terence is probably one of the most humble fighters in his position of the sport. And do you know what I love about being in environments like that last night? The love for the sport. Like Terence is watching Shakur sparred. Shakur sparred 14 rounds. 14 4-minute rounds with 30-second breaks. And Terence and Floyd watched the entire spar. They then went to another ring and watched another, I think it's Ray Ford, and watched another spar.
Eddie Hearn praised Terence Crawford, calling him one of the most humble fighters at the top of his game. Despite being an elite boxer, Crawford stays grounded and easy to approach, a quality that sets him apart. Hearn stressed Crawford's authenticity, respect for the sport, and genuine character. Meanwhile, Teddy Atlas questioned whether Canelo Alvarez could handle the smaller, faster, and slicker Crawford. Atlas pointed out Crawford's better defense, footwork, and ability to create angles, which could expose Canelo's occasional slowdowns. He wondered if Canelo could still close gaps, or if Crawford's speed would keep him off balance. Atlas also asked if Crawford could avoid Canelo's strong punches by staying elusive.
It seems like it's not official, but it may be a done deal. Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. Early thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, look, the first thought is, can he handle the weight jump? Can he handle the weight jump? He being Crawford against Madridov, people are going to say, "Oh, he had some hiccups." Who don't have hiccups? When you eat something that's a little difficult to eat, and Madrimov was a little difficult to eat. He's not easy to digest. He's a good fighter. When you really, Sam, when you eat something that's a little tough to digest, you get hiccups, right? So come on, he's human. So he had a few hiccups. He won the fight. He's Terence Crawford. A lot of people say, "Oh, Teddy, you make him so good. You're always saying how great Crawford is." But who's he beating? He unified the what was his first division? Lightweight. Then he unified the junior. Then he unified the junior welter. Then he unified the welter. I think I got the weight classes right. It doesn't matter. He unified like 3 different weight classes. He moved up in weight. He's beaten anybody that they put in front of him. He beat an undefeated fighter in Errol Spence that everybody thought was just like, one of the best fighters out there, which he was. He was one of the top fighters pound for pound out there, and he didn't just beat him. He dismantled him. He might have ruined him. We were talking about getting ruined in fights earlier. He might have ruined him. We don't know. He hasn't been back yet, Spence. He may have psychologically, physically ruined him, but he has done everything asked of him, and he's done it in a superb way. It's not that he's just won. I look at how people win. How versatile are they? How mentally together are they? What happens when they're tested? What happens when they have to make an adjustment? I look at all those things. What happens when they can't depend on power? What else do they have to depend on? I look at everything, their technique, their defense, their offense, all of it. And I look at Crawford as one of those special guys. I don't care if you guys are tired of me saying it. I look at him. Look, Canelo's special too. I get it. And he's bigger. I get that too.
Brian Bomack shared his thoughts on Canelo Alvarez's comments about Terence Crawford, adding that Canelo seemed to downplay Crawford's accomplishments, possibly to set up a future fight. Bomack highlighted Crawford's response to critics who say he hasn't faced top opponents, pointing out that Crawford made those fighters look average. This shows how powerful Crawford is. Bomack stressed that Crawford doesn't want any excuses, like a rehydration clause, because he wants to prove he's the best without any limitations. Crawford's confidence and willingness to face challenges head-on show.
Yeah, Shakur is, and he's taking on all smoke.
Look, it'd be remiss of me not to talk about the pound-for-pound #1 in the world, Terence Crawford. Always making headlines these days. He's cemented his legacy. I think certified Hall of Famer whenever he wraps it up. Stepped up in weight, won another world title last time out. Now we're talking about this fight with Canelo Alvarez. It was interesting to see the comments from Canelo and how he sort of assessed Bud Crawford's career. I almost feel after the Spence fight that was like an exclamation point on everything he's done, maybe from the critics who never gave him credit, but it almost seems like Canelo was downplaying his achievements. What do you make of that? Is that to build a fight? Because it sells itself.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. I think Crawford rebuttal was everybody always say he hasn't fought nobody, or everybody that he fought was a no name. But I'm gonna tell you like this: what Crawford said. Well, there was something until Crawford fought him. So obviously he's doing a great job because he's making everybody look normal.
Not everyone, like when they go against Canelo, I don't think there's anyone else in boxing who you would ask and say this is a possible task for, but for Crawford, because of his pound for pound abilities, and apparently no rehydration clause. Am I hearing that right? He wants full smoke at that weight.
Let's go, man. That's what Crawford wants. He wants to show the world that he's the best. So, hey, why put stipulations in there when you know that you can be the best? So let's go test ourselves.
Look, I appreciate you taking this time, and we don't get to speak all the time, so it's good to get you over here, and maybe we'll catch up later in Fight Week, but I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.
Dan Rafael talked about the much-anticipated fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, noting how fans and analysts have been excitedly discussing it for a long time. He praised promoter Eddie Hearn for making the fight a reality. Rafael also stated that Canelo had shown interest in this showdown, though there seemed to be a slight change in his attitude toward it. Known for his business-savvy style, Canelo is also looking for a big financial reward from the fight. Raphael's research highlighted both the excitement and financial motives surrounding this clash. With few middleweight opponents as intriguing as Crawford, the fight...
I've read somewhere that Canelo has shortlisted Crawford for the May fight, his fight in May. Dan, what's happening?
Yeah, listen, I think it's just a fluid situation. I don't think there's anything definitive one way or the other at this point. I mean, it's not a secret that that's a fight that's been discussed by a lot of us and by a lot of people in the sport for quite a while. Certainly, it's a fight that Turki Al-Sheikh from Saudi Arabia has shown a lot of interest in. And of course, if it's going to get made, someone's going to have to put up a lot of guaranteed money. And he's probably the person that's going to do it. He's obviously been working closely with Terence Crawford. He was involved with the Terence Crawford's last fight that took place in August when he fought Israel Madrimov. It's obviously a fight that Terence Crawford has been very vocal about wanting. Now, Canelo hasn't ever said he wanted the fight, kind of downplayed it to a certain degree. But it wasn't that long ago. I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, he was doing an appearance and he was asked about it and he didn't close the door on it. In the past, he sort of like closed the door on it. It was like, I'm not interested. He's like, listen, I'll talk to anybody and listen to what they have to say about the deal, any kind of deal. So in my mind, that sort of at least cracked open the door to have the conversation. Like he wasn't just saying, forget it in terms of working with Turki or anybody else. So I think that Canelo is a smart person in terms of his boxing, but also in terms of his business. And when he looks around at the landscape and he wants to make a huge amount of money, like all top fighters or any fighter for that matter, and he looks and sees, who can I fight where I can make the biggest score, in a big time fight.
Steve Nelson shared that some fans think Terence Crawford should face a true 168-pounder, like David Benavidez, to cement his legacy, but he argued that this idea doesn't make sense strategically. Nelson pointed out that Crawford is driven by both legacy and financial rewards.
He called the idea of certain fights the advanced cherry pick, suggesting that while these fights might look bold, they avoid risks by targeting opponents who suit Crawford's size, style, or public perception. This reflects the ongoing
debate about balancing important matchups with career-defining chances for both legs.
Steve Nelson just said, and I'm paraphrasing because you guys heard it, link will be in the description. He just told you out his own mouth. He's like, fans are saying that Crawford should fight David Benavidez or a true 168-pounder. Doesn't make sense. Bud is after legacy, and then he said, and money. So this proves why I don't want to see this particular fight like some of y'all. He just told you. So this is what I call an advanced cherry pick. Now, I know some people, you're going to start crying. The reason I say advanced, now, it's not an advanced, it's not a cherry pick in the normal sense of like, because this would be an accomplishment if Bud can defeat somebody at a higher weight class without acclimating, right? So it's not the traditional cherry pick, but it is still an advanced, or this is what I'm calling it, an advanced cherry pick, because his own teammate and friend, Steve Nelson, is telling you there's no reason for Bud to fight a true 168-pounder. He started off by saying Canelo Alvarez started off smaller, like a welterweight earlier in his career at 54, and then made his way up to 68. So that lets me know the mentality from Team Crawford is Canelo, we know he has shown signs of slippage and being a little bit older in his recent fights.
On the Impulsive podcast, Terence Crawford recognized Canelo Alvarez as a strong and skilled fighter, calling him a big boy in the ring. However, Crawford stressed that boxing is ultimately about stepping up and fighting. He suggested that greatness is proven by action and the willingness to take on the toughest tasks. Showbiz the Adult described why Canelo's claim that Crawford has only one big win is inaccurate. While Errol Spence Jr. was Crawford's biggest victory, Showbiz pointed out that Crawford has several other impressive wins that solidify his reputation. He mentioned Sean Porter, who had never been stopped before Crawford, Kell Brook, whom Crawford easily dominated, and Gamboa, where Crawford first showed his dominance. Showbiz also highlighted Victor Postel as a big win, arguing that Crawford's career is defined by consistent excellence, showing he's much more than just a one-win fighter.
When Terence Crawford said that he moved up and won, and Canelo moved up and lost, I don't think that was a strong point. The reason why, and I love Terence Crawford, but I understand people gonna get hurt and all that, so y'all get hurt in comments, I love it. But I don't think it was a strong point because Canelo Alvarez actually moved up and won. I mean, he moved up a lot of weight classes, but if you want to talk about light heavyweight, he moved up and he beat Kovalev. He knocked Kovalev out the first time he moved up. Then he moved up again and he lost to Bivol. 115, 113, losing to Bivol. Terence Crawford, on the other hand, he moves up to 154. He won 115, 113, but it was against an 11-0 Madrimov who didn't really have much of a resume. So, I mean, it's just different. Let's be honest. Madrimov, you can't really name who's his biggest win. Canelo Alvarez and what he had to say about Terence Bud Crawford was false. Terence Bud Crawford has more than one good win. He had one significant win, which was like his biggest win, but he had many of good wins. A lot of people like to bring up Holster, which, I just think he was too much for him, to be honest. But I do like his Sean Porter win, right? I like the way he dismantled Kell Brook. He had some wins. I mean, even against Gamboa at the time, that was really when you were like, oh, this Terence Crawford is really too much for this division. So, I mean, yeah, Errol Spence was his biggest win, but he didn't just have one win.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more and see you next time.